Hello, welcome to Relish Lifestyle podcast number 2. We are sat here with cups of tea at the moment. And what have you been up to over the weekend?
Oh, yeah. So we actually got out this weekend and did some blackberry picking.
Yeah.
And so we're talking about all things harvest, really, the last couple of weeks. But yes, we did our blackberry picking, and I think you actually got around to making some jams.
I have.
Charlie.
I've got 8 jars of blackberry jam.
Oh, 8. Amazing.
Yeah, really good. And they're all labelled and Relish Lifestyle branded up. So, yeah, I'll be bringing... I should have brought one round. I forgot.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'll bring one round later.
All right. What recipe did you use? Did you add any other fruit or anything?
No, so basically it was... Well, what did we get? We got just over 4.4 pounds.
Yeah.
2 kilos.
Yeah.
Convert. It's funny, with jam making... We talked about this the other day, didn't we?
Yeah.
The weights and measures thing... in cooking is a tricky one. I don't know what we should say.
Yeah.
We should say it's 2 kilos.
Yeah, because I was saying, I don't know about everyone listening, but I'm kind of thinking, I always think in metric. Because when I measure anything, it has to be in centimetres, right? But actually I don't, because you're right. When I'm weighing things, I will weigh in grams. But quite often when we talk about certain things, and you are right, when I've harvested fruit and vegetables before, I can tend to weigh them in pounds. I don't know why.
Well, you weigh a baby. You say a baby is 9 pounds. Don't you? You don't say, oh, it's 4.4 kilograms or whatever.
No.
Well, I've never heard anyone ever say that.
No, but I mean, people do, obviously. But it is just funny. We were talking about this.
So yes, it was 4.4 pounds in old money. And then I did about probably 3 pounds of sugar, just granulated, regular sugar. And then basically what I did is I squeezed some lemon juice, but I actually kept the 2 lemon halves and all the pith, and I wrapped them up in a muslin cloth.
Oh, nice.
And I tied it to the handle of the pan, and they just hung there, releasing, obviously, because the pips in lemon have a lot of pectin in them.
Yeah.
So actually, though it is a very sweet jam by,
default,
natural,
yeah.
The lemon has actually added something to it. I think it sort of cuts through it a bit. So it's not as sugary. But yeah, so they're all ready to go.
I can't wait to try.
Yeah, no, I will bring that around. But what's quite a funny thing with jam is obviously the French think that it's odd that we have sort of red currant jellies and jams with our meat. They think that's quite a strange thing to do. But obviously for us, that's quite a typical thing to do, isn't it?
Yeah, no, totally.
And it's funny because obviously even with like cheese, we would have like chutneys and jellies and jams and all sorts with our different cheeses, but they don't really do that as much.
No.
It's just quite an interesting thing to think about.
Yeah.
But
well, and I can I just throw that back though, Charlie, just bouncing around a bit, because you mentioned lemon and adding. I think that's a really good tip, actually. But I would say lemon is one of my secret go-to ingredients. I mean, a squeeze of lemon, don't you think? Like, obviously you've used it in the jam, and it's got various properties that really help the jam set and everything, but it also has a flavour. But a squeeze of a lemon for me in a savoury dish, in a sweet dish, or anything. And sometimes even when I'm getting to the point where I'm seasoning it and I'm thinking there's something missing, a squeeze of lemon just lifts.
Oh yeah,
doesn't it?
I think so. But I think in things that I think also sometimes if you're having something that's quite rich, it can be quite a nice anecdote to the the richness of, say, like a salad dressing that's quite rich. A spritz of lemon can really sort of pep it up a bit.
Yeah.
So
I think that's also why I quite like, and I'm going to mention his name, but dear old Ottolenghi, sort of Turkish food, Greek food, they add yogurts and things, and I love that. And I know it's a big thing at the moment to also add, pickled vegetables, and it's not just pickled onion, finely diced, but all sorts of things.
Well, I think again it cuts through, especially if you've got something like lamb, quite a fatty, or like if we sometimes do pork belly, don't we?
Yeah.
And it's fatty, it's inherently fatty, but that's what gives it that amazing flavour and crackling. But you do then need I don't want to call them condiments, but things to go with it that can cut through.
Yeah.
You think, like you were just saying, like Turkish and things like that. And even when we go to Greece, there's often like, with the halloumi, there'd be like chili and oregano to cut through that kind of richness of the cheese. So I think it is a balance.
Yeah.
But citrus definitely plays a part in that.
But yeah.
So randomly, I was on, I think it was TikTok. So obviously I'm trying to get used to us being on TikTok. And it came up, obviously, because we've just had the Paris Olympics, that France is the most visited country on the planet.
Really?
100 million visitors, apparently, a year is the statistic I saw.
Wow.
If you have other views on that, please DM us. But it's apparently, it's France and then Spain. And I think we're like 8th or 9th on the list.
Really?
Yeah.
So that's a global, not just the Brits going to France.
But I think probably us being able to hop over there bumps those numbers up quite considerably, I would think.
Yeah.
If you think how many Eurotunnels and ferries are going every day.
Yeah. Wow.
And it was just made me think about France, like our trips that we've had and places we've been. And it just, struck me as actually how much food and experiences we've had in France.
Oh, gosh, yeah. I mean, going back, Charlie, we used to go down to places like Bandol in the south of France, which is, am I going to get this right, Charlie, is west of Saint-Tropez.
Yes.
So,
right.
And it's such a great area there. And more recently, we have really, really incredible friends who have a place in the south of France, and another great friend was living in Nice for quite a while. So that's been an area, isn't it, that we've gone down to and absolutely love it. I mean, just absolutely fall in love with it down there.
The thing that we've one of the main things we've taken from being in that region is the love of that Bandol wine.
Oh gosh, Bandol. I mean, that is my favourite wine, of all time. And if we can get it, and I know when we're over there, either together or when Charlie goes on his trips, which he has done recently, he's always searching out some Bandol wine for me.
Mainly, obviously, the supermarchés sort of have one or two Bandol, so I try and sort of clear the shelf of what I can take with me. Within sort of current restrictions and things like that. But I was thinking about Nice, like we've been down there a lot because of those friends, but also because we love it so much and some of the places we've been.
Oh, yeah.
And obviously for me, it was doing one of those trips was the inspiration for
your book, Charlie. Rediscovery.
On the French Riveria. So this came from house sitting for one of those said friends.
Yeah.
And so a lot of the like personal experiences were fed into the book. Going to a butcher's on my own for the first time and ordering a côte de boeuf and thinking that was going to be quite straightforward. But actually, queuing and sort of jostling for position is not quite what we expect in our local butchers. No,
and also I think, like anywhere, I guess, but the locals are kind of all chatty and it's very community and you suddenly feel like a stranger and then you're not quite sure what you're ordering. But actually we've always found everyone incredibly friendly.
Oh, yeah. 100%.
And it's an incredible coastline around there. To drive.
We've done the Corniches, haven't we?
Yeah, exactly.
The Grand Corniche, Moyen Corniche, all of them. There is a third one and it's slipped my memory. There is a third. But we have done that.
Yeah. No, we have. Right. And we've had, all things foodie, of course. We've had some great foodie experiences there. I mean, do you remember the trip? So there was one place, and we think it's Chez Mina that is still there. We are going back a few years than that, but in the old port in Nice, where they basically, you get moule and frites and you get them in like the casserole dishes, with the lids. They're almost like saucepans, but without the handles. And the first time we went there, and some great pictures actually that we'll have to, put up on the website, but you'd get a bar, big casserole pan of your moule, and then they would bring you another one, wouldn't they?
And you could have there was it was relatively simple in terms, obviously, the base was mussels and then the sauce just sort of changed. There was variations on the sauce, but didn't really do much else.
No.
Except the frites and then some bread, I think.
Yeah, it was bread, yeah.
But it was, it's a great place. And actually, that whole port area is excellent.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
restaurants and all sorts.
I think I've had, though I know we've cooked them and they have been delicious, but I really do love veal chops. And I've had the most delicious veal chops in a restaurant that is still there called L'Usine. And again, it's the old port in Nice. And they're, stunning.
Yeah.
Stunning meal.
I know it's not typically French, but do you remember the pizza restaurant, Les Amoureux?
Oh, yes.
And ladies get a heart-shaped pizza.
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
Yeah.
That was fun. And you're kind of squidged in, but the pizzas were excellent.
Yeah.
Really good.
Of course, the incredible thing about Nice is it's so close to Italy. And of course, it was part of Italy originally. So when you go round, and I'm sure many of you have, but, all the street names are in Italian and in French. So but it's that lovely crossover, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think of the two kind of cultures,
but food
cultures.
cultures.
Yeah, exactly.
The other thing I was going to, obviously Nice is quite famous with the Socca Bread.
Yes.
Where you can get street vendors. It's a bit like their kind of street food. You can buy Socca Bread on the corner of streets at sort of all hours.
Yeah.
But it's this lovely, quite earthy, thin, obviously it's based on chickpea flour, but it's incredibly, Moorish.
And it's kind of like a pancake, thickish pancake, and then they put loads of fillings in there. And you can do soccer in different ways, but that is delicious. I remember once we were down there, you remember we had to get some chickpea flour, and you were busy making
trying to do it.
Well, you did. It was fantastic. Actually, you must do some because you bought that big bag of chickpea flour. You gave me some.
I think it's literally. It's very simple because it's the sort of the sea salt, pepper, and then you sort of add rosemary, I think, is one of the things you can add.
Yeah.
But it's incredibly simple to make. But we should do a video of that, actually. That would be really good. I mean, the other thing for me is obviously one of the things you were talking about is that when we come back from France, what we bring with us, and obviously Bandol is one of them. But the other thing is obviously the cheeses.
Oh,
if you can, obviously. And some of the ones that we've remembered, I mean, some of these aren't necessarily Southern French, but there's an amazing one called an au bouchon, which has a cork in the middle, which I think there's a photo on our Instagram somewhere from a few years ago.
Well, you discovered that probably about 5 or 6 years ago and loved it, didn't you?
Yeah.
And then
and it's a good cheese, but I think it's just really cool that it's got a cork in the middle of it.
Yeah.
And the other one for me is there's a place called Neufchâtel-en-Bray, which is in the north, but they have a heart-shaped cheese, and they're just famous for these heart-shaped cheeses. But they vary in sort of what's on the outside and what flavours they put in them, but they're all heart-shaped. So, I mean, France is incredible for that, as we know. Do you have a favourite cheese? French cheese?
Oh, I don't know about favourite. I mean, there's nothing nicer than a very runny French brie, I have to say. But, Vacherin, that kind of thing is absolutely delicious. I always remember, I do want to tell this story. And again, not quite the south of France, but in the Loire, there is a wonderful hotel and restaurant called the Prairie right on the river. And I remember going many years ago and probably being a little bit naive, but when the cheese board came, it was huge. It was like, honest to goodness, it was like
a dining table.
Half a dining table. And it came and it had all these cheeses. And of course, so many of them I'd never heard of before, but you could kind of work it out. And you could just point to the ones that looked really nice and that you wanted to try. But it was extraordinary. I think it's the largest cheese board I have ever had put in front of me. But it was incredible, actually. Yeah.
I mean, there are certain things that kind of thing they do incredibly well, I think. Wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. But, it's just interesting that France has obviously been in the news, and it came up. It was really random on TikTok about being most visited. But it is a funny one with the cheeses, because I think there's an interesting quote that I think it was Charles de Gaulle basically said, "How can you govern a country which has 246 varieties of cheese?" I'm sort of paraphrasing. I think that's relatively where it sits, but I don't know, it just sums it up for me. I think it's a great quote. And a foodie quote, which is even better.
Yeah.
But I mean, one of the other things that we like when we go is obviously it's exploring the markets and the restaurants and all that kind of stuff. But there is something about sort of a foreign supermarket.
Oh, we've always loved that, though, haven't we?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the times I've sort of done a couple of trips on my own, I mean, it's almost like an excuse to stop at one. You know,
oh, yeah.
I want to go into a big Intermarché or Carrefour or, E-Leclerc or whatever it is. I don't know. It's just, I think if you're foodie and you're into food, there's something about a different supermarket to what you're used to.
And then I think when you're going on a holiday and maybe, particularly when you were little, Charlie, and we go on our holiday for 2 weeks or something, we have a villa. So we were self-catering, but I love to cook. Not that we didn't go out, of course, as well. But there was nothing nicer than going to the market and just seeing what they had locally and buying local stuff. And, and if that is a supermarket or an outside market, I mean, we still do that, don't we? We try and find the days that they've got markets on, and we go to the market, and it's fantastic.
We've got that wonderful flower market in Nice. It's called the Cours Selem, I think, which is halves of something. My French is not that good, but it's beautiful.
Oh, it's stunning.
Yeah,
no, it's stunning.
It's near where the theatre is.
Yeah. And they have fish there. They have a good market.
Oh, yeah, but it rotates, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And obviously sometimes there's the sort of what they call it like brocante, but that sort of bric-a-brac.
Antiques, yeah.
But I love that flower market. That actually features in the book. As does a wonderful surprise birthday I once had when I was flown down to Nice.
Oh, yeah. So this is great. So I was staying down in Nice, and as a surprise, I booked Charlie and a friend to come down, and he didn't know where he was going, so he got on the plane. But tell them, Charlie, so actually on your birthday... Which
I just so everyone knows, not because I want presents or anything, but 1st of December. So the weather here is never normally great. So suddenly to be in the south of France. We did have rain in the morning, but it was the 1st of December. We had rain in the morning. I think I managed to lose 2 umbrellas on the train and everything. But we basically went to Ventimiglia in France, in Italy even. Gosh, I'm getting my countries mixed up. And it's sort of about 10, 15 minutes just over the border. And we had breakfast in Italy.
Yeah.
And then on the way back, we stopped in Monaco and had lunch in Monte Carlo.
Yeah.
And then we had dinner in Nice. So it was an incredible day.
It was so fun.
But that train journey, since we've done that, and I've done it again since, is apparently one of the sort of voting it like one of the best train journeys in Europe or something.
Oh, really?
Almost picturesque. Because it's not that long. It's only about half an hour.
No, because I think you go so far into Italy and then you have to change if you're going any further.
At that place.
At Ventimiglia.
Yeah. But the way it sort of hugs that coastline.
Yeah, it was lovely.
Is incredible. And obviously you go through places like Villefranche-sur-Mer and places like that, which are beautiful.
No, totally.
Absolutely stunning.
I mean, there's another place, do you remember? I mean, we didn't do this one by train, but in that area, and this goes back to our comment about lemons. So lemons are obviously in my head at the moment. But there's a place up a bit, and it's called Menton, and it's near the border of Italy. But they have a lemon festival.
Amazing.
And it is amazing. And when you go there, everything is sort of dedicated to lemons. And so you have amazing tiles, like you come little squares and there's tiles and things, but the tiles have got lemons on them. And every shop you go into, you can buy something with lemons.
So you were in heaven. Yeah.
I was in heaven because I absolutely love lemons, and it's such a shame. There's nothing nicer than when you go to Spain or somewhere and you have citrus trees, like a lemon tree in the garden.
But they're lemons. This is going back to like going to supermarkets. They're massive, sort of, but they're quite knobbly and gnarly.
Yeah.
But the size can be quite overwhelming.
Yeah, but
we're used to quite sort of
there we are
tiny lemons.
But also, those kind of lemons you get in Europe, that skin and the gnarliness, but you get such great zest. And another tip I would say is that you can add a squeeze of lemon juice, but also add zest, peel it with a potato peeler or something, vegetable peeler, and
then
you can just throw that in at the beginning and cook it down maybe with chilies if you're doing something like that, or you can just zest it with a zester or chop it up, but put it in early on and let that oil and flavour just really permeate like you might with garlic or something.
Yeah. Well,
you can't underestimate that.
But if you think about lemons, the zest, they often do that, don't they, for cocktails? They
that's true.
Peel the rind off and then they sort of squeeze it and the oil comes out.
Yeah.
That's what you want. That's what gives you that amazing flavour of the citrus.
Yeah.
No, that's incredible. Wow. It was a great trip. And obviously, like we said, we've been fortunate enough to go down there to that, to Nice quite a few times.
Oh, yeah.
And there is something.
It feels kind of like home. I always think I feel kind of slightly at home.
You always feel
when
quite relaxed there.
Yeah, no, definitely.
And it's what's amazing. I mean, obviously, part of our podcast is trying to impart, information to you so you can go and enjoy these places as well. Is that it literally is only an hour and a half flight from Gatwick or Heathrow to Nice.
Yeah.
And it does feel like a holiday. I mean, the Promenade d'Anglais is incredible. That lovely long walk right from the Negresco, which is that fabulous hotel with the domes and the amazingly dressed doorman. And it takes you all the way around, doesn't it? To the sort of, it's this, I'm not remember the name of it, but it's like a World War II or World Wars monument on that bit. Before you turn round.
Yes, I know, yeah.
And it has this amazing curve. And actually that is the image. I took a photo from that World War monument of the Promenade d'Anglais and the beach, and that is actually the image that's then sort of been recreated for the front cover of my book.
And there's some great walks around there too. I've walked along the top from Nice. You can go right round to Villefranche or Beaulieu, and you go across Montbaron, or you can literally, there's a mini, it's not a cliff walk, it's more like a beach walk, but you're walking along the cliff but much lower down towards the sea, and you can go all the way along to Villefranche, and it was fantastic. I mean, I've done it a couple of times. I have to say, you have to be a bit goat-like in terms of it's a bit rugged. Yeah. And try not to do it when it's too hot. I did do it one day and it was about 30-something degrees.
But do you remember we did that wonderful walk round Cap Ferrat?
Oh yeah,
where we parked and did the whole loop.
Yeah, that's really cool.
And it has a lovely little harbour on kind of the
marina
east side, and then it's got that lovely bay you can swim off and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That's a lovely walk actually. And all quiet when we went.
Yeah,
top tip, go there if you want a walk and it's not too touristy.
No, it was great. Really great.
But one of the things I quite like about Nice is kind of like we were saying, it's quite a melting pot. There's quite a lot of other influences there. So when I was there last time, I went to a restaurant called Yosei, which has obviously got South American influences in it. And again, a great restaurant. I just found it on online and it had really good reviews. But one of the things that we've talked about before is how the French just do the menu du jour or the plat du jour really well.
Oh yeah.
And it's everywhere. It's not a rarity. Like here it can be a bit like, you get it between 5 and 6 on a Wednesday or something. There it's, every lunchtime there will be a menu or a plat du jour.
I think the equivalent we have in this country is probably roast on a Sunday, because if you go to pubs or places, that's kind of when they've got their roast, and it's in a way is that the plate of the day. You know what I mean? The dish.
Yeah, I suppose so.
But I just don't think they do one. We don't really do it every day, I guess.
No.
There might be a specials board or something.
Yeah.
But
I just think it's a great and also incredibly good value most of the time.
Yeah.
Like the restaurant we went to for my birthday, the Le Frog. I have been there since and I've had like their menu du jour and it's sort of like 20-something euros, but it's, 2-3 courses and you sometimes get a glass of wine on that as well, or a coffee or something.
Yeah.
And it is delicious.
Talking about going back to the pizzas, I know this is again random, I do jump about a bit, but the French have their own, don't they? Is it called tarte flambe?
Tarte, yeah.
Tarte flambe?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that comes from kind of the more Alsace Alpy region, I believe.
Oh, right.
And it's become a recipe that I can't remember when I first did it. And I have to say it was influenced from Rick Stein's, when he was, I think it's called Secret France, the book, and his series. And he does one. And so I've sort of recreated over the past couple of years or few years, sort of my own riff on them.
Yeah. Because Charlie knows this, but I only like pizzas if they're incredibly fresh, incredibly thin, aren't overloaded. I don't want a soggy bottom. So I'm not a big pizza
Well,
eater.
you don't like it doughy?
No, not at all. Anyway, Charlie's made this French version, which is between like a dough and a pastry, isn't it?
Yeah, well, it's unleavened as well, so it's got no yeast.
No,
and
very thin.
It literally is flour, a tiny bit of oil and water, and you just sort of try and bring it all together, and obviously a bit of salt. And then you just sort of leave it for a bit to cool and rest, and then you roll it out. But I've done variations, like when I've been traveling on my own. It's just a really easy thing to do because actually it doesn't really matter what the toppings are. Once you've made that base with the flour and some water, which you can get anywhere, let's be honest. I did one in Portugal when I was there, and I used obviously local Portuguese meat and cheeses. I didn't use French ones.
Yeah.
But you can also, traditionally, as you know, it's a creme fraiche base, which would normally be passata if you had an Italian pizza. But I've also done it where I've used passata on the French base because you still have a lovely crispy base, but you just, sometimes I don't know if I want all the creme fraiche and cheese.
No, I noticed that, not that I've tried it yet, but I would like to try it. But I think that other people are doing different bases now. Instead of the tomato, like you can have pureed artichoke and stuff like that.
Yeah, we could definitely have a look.
Yeah.
Maybe we could do a marrow one. Use that your marrow. Marrows.
I did actually, on the back of that from last week, I did find.
Have you had any more?
It was I've had two more. My Margaret Patton book, which was probably circa 1950s. I don't know. It's ridiculously old.
The pages are, just so everyone can obviously understand, because you can't see, the pages are sepia in colour. There are splodges on most of the pages I can see, and I would say a good third of the book is kind of coming out of its binding. But
yeah, I know.
It's well used.
Well, it wasn't so much me. Oh, actually, it was 1963. This one particularly was published.
Well, that's important, yeah.
Yeah. So, but what I wanted to do is, I've used it a bit many years ago, but I have to say, sometimes some of these things now have. You can see that they're old, if you know what I mean. They haven't really. But marrow here, it was so funny because it does say marrow and jam making. And then you can have things like damson and marrow jam, marrow curd, marrow chutney, marrow and ginger jam. And
marrow curd.
Yeah. And also you've got here marrow and orange jam, marrow lemon curd, even pickled marrow. But I think reading it, the pickled marrow is absolutely fine. There seems to be a lot of overcooking. Probably today we just chop it really finely and then the pickle. But I think the trouble is with marrow in these sort of things, I've realised, is that you would lose the complete taste of marrow.
Well,
it's just used
texture.
As a bulking.
But that's why I was thinking, actually, for a whizzed up base potentially, you could use it for something.
I don't know if
I might give it a go.
But do you think you'd have to sieve it? Because there's a lot of water.
Yeah. But if you think about it, you have to do that with courgettes and cucumbers when you use them in quite a lot of recipes.
Yeah, you do. Yeah.
And if you left a bit of skin on, you'd have a bit more bite to it, which would be good. Last week, we asked if there were any questions. We actually have had a few questions come in.
Oh.
So... obviously, people are harvesting. We've talked about that. So the question is, if you had a glut of tomatoes, red or green, what would you do with them?
Well, over the years, I have been growing tomatoes, and I've got less this year, but I have been actually either cooking them down, just wash them, chop them up, doesn't matter what size they are, just cook them down and then whiz them up so they're really pulpy. And I have then just been freezing them, and I just weigh it out and freeze them because it really it's ideal when you want tomatoes and you don't need a tin of tomatoes.
Yeah. But
because,
going back to what we were just talking about.
Yeah.
And this is obviously also a confession time for me.
Oh, yeah.
Is that raw tomatoes.
Oh, yeah, you don't like them.
I can't eat them.
No.
I just don't like the taste or texture or any of it, so I can't eat a raw tomato.
Or strawberries. He doesn't like strawberries either.
I can eat them, I just don't like them. But I can eat tomatoes in things. But when you've been doing your freezing it, I've used it as a passata.
Yeah.
Which is brilliant.
Yeah.
And we've used it in curries, haven't we? We've used the tomatoes as a...
So I've basically done two things. Sometimes I cook them down. So and you could add some flavouring if you wanted to, but like a tin tomato, but you just cook them down, put them in a big saucepan, and you might want some basil. I quite often add a little bit of salt, but I don't adulterate them too much, okay? Or I just keep them as they are. And other times I just whiz them up if they're raw. And again, you can sieve them if you don't want the skin and the pips, and you get a true passata.
Yeah, yeah.
And again, you just freeze it. But it's great if you just do that straight away. And I've had, and if you can freeze them flat kind of thing, then they're great because you just pull those out. And I don't need to buy tins of tomatoes in the winter.
There you go. And you've grown it yourself.
And I've grown it myself.
Brilliant.
No pesticide.
We are sort of slowly, we're actually rapidly running out of time, which is incredible. I do think actually there's a lot more we could talk about with France.
Oh, God.
So we might have to call this France part 1, and we might need a part 2.
Memory lane.
Part 2, I think. Yeah. Another question we've had before we finish is, besides a glass of wine or two that you obviously enjoy, do you prefer, or are you a tea or coffee drinker?
Oh, right. Okay. So I am a tea drinker now. But I only have certain teas. I have some herbal teas. I love a fresh mint tea, for instance. But my go-to tea is rooibos, or as it's known here, red bush tea, because it is naturally decaffeinated. It grows naturally decaffeinated. And you can get various forms of it. I mean, you're quite a purist though,
aren't you? You like it as it comes.
As it comes, don't
not
milk
too long.
It. Yeah.
Yeah.
So occasionally in the winter you can add a little bit of honey or something. But I love the smell of coffee. And I did used to like the other teas, but no, it's my red bush tea. What about you? So
I am probably erring more to coffee.
Oh yes.
But I have multiple ways of making coffee.
You do.
Cafetiere, I'll stick with the French theme. Actually, the reason I also have a filter, which I guess is slightly American, but as you know, when we go to Europe, there will often be a coffee filter machine in the where we're staying. The other thing I've quite liked at the moment is a mocha. So there's a little the silver Italian pots that you put on the stove.
Oh, yeah.
It sort of boils through. But I tried various ground coffees. I can't say I've got a particular favourite. But one of the things I obviously love doing is when you are in France or Portugal or wherever, is having a good cup of coffee in the morning. I do like my tea, because I try not to have caffeine in the afternoon.
Yeah, you're good.
So I'm
chamomile, don't you?
I'm currently, I've just finished a chamomile actually. So I quite like that. And then in the evening, before bed, I sort of have a sleepy tea, I call them.
Oh no, I always still have red bush because there's no caffeine in it.
No,
so
I just like the variation.
Yeah.
So, but unfortunately, we're coming sort of to the end of this podcast.
Okay,
but I think we've got plenty more to talk about.
Yeah, we have, and much more things in France and other places that we visited. But quickly, Charlie, what are you having for supper tonight? Do you know?
That's a jolly good question. Well, I don't know. I haven't decided. I'm in a bit of a funny mood today.
I know.
I think it's the weather.
I am too. But shall I tell you what I'm going to have?
Yeah, go for it.
I'm going to do kedgeree.
Oh, are you?
Yeah, and occasionally I just love to do a kedgeree. I have to say it's based on dear old Delia's kedgeree, but there is just something really comforting and warming, and it's great the next day. You know, I'm a great believer that some of these things, you know, you can have in the evening, but they make a bit of a light lunch or a lunch, not necessarily light lunch, but lunch the next
I've
day.
already sort of started thinking about what I might have, as in over the course of the next couple of days to do. So I fancied maybe doing chicken shawarma. You know, the one I do when I pop it in the oven.
Yeah.
That's got lots of lemons in it. You'll be pleased to know. And homemade bread. Do like flatbreads.
Oh, yeah.
That's nice. You'll stuff it. Like a gyros, but obviously a shawarma version. And also, because of this sort of funny weather we're having, also was thinking of maybe doing a French dish, the coco Riesling, which has gone down.
Oh, it's on my notes because Charlie makes this great dish, and it's one of those ones. You go, what should I cook for you? And I go, oh, make the coco Riesling, and I tell you,
Or the tarte flambe,
or the tarte flambe. But the coco Riesling, because it's so delicious, and Charlie has his own sort of riff on it. But also he makes his own French baguettes, which he has to take 2 days over. But it's my absolute favourite, and the bread is so delicious. Even if one is trying not to be overly carbed, you have to save yourself because you can eat that till forever.
You have to make a poulish the day before, which is basically flour, water and a bit of the yeast to get sort of this sort of starter, I guess. But it makes the most incredible baguettes. I have to say my baguettes aren't the most beautifully shaped, but they taste incredible. I'm dipping it into the coco Riesling. But I have also, my riff is sometimes a variation of what goes in, you know, mushrooms, shallots, onions. You can change it all around. But the one is the wine. Obviously, coco Riesling by name is you're supposed to use Riesling wine, but I have done it in places where I couldn't get hold of Riesling wine. And as long as it's a relatively dry white wine, you'll be absolutely fine. So...
Charlie, that's kind of excited my taste buds. Can we have one of those?
We're going to have one of those this week.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's get cracking. We need to think about our next topic, but we can discuss that maybe over a glass of wine in a minute.
Yeah, we will. We will. And we'll post it out, what we're going to be discussing. But please do send in any comments or any, you know, of your experiences, foodie, or maybe in the south of France, or with marrows even, who knows?
Anything.
Please keep it clean.
Tomatoes, wine. We're here for all of it.
Charlie, just remind everyone, how do they DM us?
Yeah.
Where do they find us?
So everything is at Relish Lifestyle. So we're on Insta and TikTok. They're our main platforms. And that concludes the podcast this week. Thank you very much for listening. Here's to relishing life.
Yeah.